Welcome back, everybody, to Amir Smiles Immigration Podcast. Today, we're discussing a burning topic in Canada's immigration landscape. You might already know that express entry is a points-based system for attracting skilled workers, kind of like a competition, where your skills, education, and work experience are all judged. But here's the big change. They're removing points for job offers.
You're right, Rija. This change is a big one. Huge shift. Going to impact anyone thinking about immigrating to Canada. It is a massive change, especially considering how much weight a job offer used to carry.
So to really kind of understand the impact of this, can you give us a quick history lesson
Sure,
on express entry?
absolutely. So Express Entry was launched in 2025.
Okay,
It replaced that old first come, first served system. And the goal was to attract immigrants who could contribute to the Canadian economy like right away.
right.
Job offers need to be backed by something called a labor market impact assessment or LMIA. Those were worth a lot of points.
So scoring an LMIA used to be like a golden ticket.
You could say that.
Yeah,
And LMIA is basically a document that proves that a Canadian employer needs to hire a foreign worker
right.
for a specific job because they couldn't find a Canadian to fill it.
Okay.
But then things started to get a little murky.
Murky.
Well, LMIA fraud became a real problem.
Oh,
Some people were buying fake LMIA or creating bogus job offers to inflate their points and jump ahead in the system.
so they were gaming the system?
Yeah. Essentially, they were manipulating the system for their own gain.
Right.
And it was undermining the whole point of Express Entry.
That sounds like a recipe for chaos.
That was a big concern.
So how does this new policy change address the issue?
Well, starting in spring 2025, job offers will no longer give you any points in the Express Entry system. This applies to all streams. So federal skilled worker, Canadian experience class, and federal skilled trades.
That's a bold move for sure.
But it's aiming to level the playing field and discourage fraud.
I can imagine that this is sending shockwaves that's through the immigration community.
Oh, absolutely.
What were some of the immediate consequences that you foresee?
So we're likely to see a drop in overall CRS scores,
Okay,
which is how candidates are ranked in the Express Entry pool.
right.
This could mean lower cutoff scores for everyone,
Okay,
potentially benefiting those who were previously edged out.
right.
However, there's also a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah,
We don't know exactly how much scores will drop or what will happen to people who already have an LMIA.
so it sounds like this change creates both winners and losers.
It does. Let's break down the potential impact for each Express Entry.
What's the outlook for federal skilled workers who are often applying from overseas?
This could be good news for them.
Okay,
Lower cutoff scores mean a better chance of getting selected. The focus now shifts to maximizing points in other areas, like language proficiency and education.
so instead of pinning all their hopes on a job offer, they need to boost their overall profile.
Exactly. Now, for those in the Canadian experience class, the impact might be less noticeable.
Right.
They already earn a good chunk of points for having Canadian work experience.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about federal skilled trades candidates?
Yeah, they've traditionally relied heavily on job offers.
You're right.
This is where things get trickier.
Yeah,
They'll need to explore alternative roads like provincial nomination programs or focus on improving their language scores to stay competitive.
so this change really forces everyone to reevaluate their strategy.
Yes, and if you have a valid LMIA right now, apply ASAP. Do not wait. Don't wait for the new rules to kick in.
Solid advice.
Yeah. But beyond the immediate impact, I'm curious about the broader implications of this change.
How could it affect Canada's ability to attract skilled workers in the long run?
That's the million-dollar question. Some argue that removing points for job offers could make Canada less attractive to the top talent, especially those who have multiple options, especially since other countries are actively trying to woo skilled workers.
Precisely.
But others argue that this change will actually strengthen the system
Right?
by attracting candidates with a genuine commitment to Canada, not just those seeking a quick entry point.
Right.
It's a fascinating dilemma with no easy answers.
It really is.
Yeah.
This is fascinating stuff.
It really highlights how immigration policies are constantly evolving, you know,
All right.
adapting to new challenges and priorities.
Speaking of challenges, you mentioned LMIA fraud as a major catalyst for this change.
Yes,
Can you paint a clearer picture of what was happening?
sure.
How widespread was this issue?
It's difficult to quantify the exact extent of the fraud,
Okay,
but there were definitely some red flags.
right.
We saw instances of individuals in organized groups creating fake job offers and even buying and selling fraudulent LMIAs.
So essentially, they were manipulating the system for their own gain, potentially pushing deserving candidates aside.
Exactly. And this raised serious concerns about fairness and the integrity of the entire express entry system,
I can understand why the government felt compelled to act.
right?
But some might argue that simply removing points for job offers doesn't address the root cause of LMIA fraud.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts on that?
that's a valid point.
Yeah,
This change might deter some, but it won't magically eliminate fraud.
right.
There needs to be a multi-pronged approach, including stricter oversight, stronger enforcement mechanisms, and perhaps even a reevaluation of the LMIA process itself.
So it's a step in the right direction.
Yes, but more needs to be done to tackle the underlying issues.
For sure. Let's shift gears for a moment and consider the impact on Canadian employers.
Okay,
They've relied on LMIAs to fill critical roles,
right?
especially in sectors facing labor shortages. How might this change affect their recruitment strategies?
They'll definitely need to adapt. Employers might turn to alternative pathways like provincial nomination programs,
Okay,
which gives provinces more control over selecting immigrants who meet their specific labor market needs.
so instead of a one-size-fits-all approach, we're seeing a move towards more regionalized immigration strategies.
Precisely. And there's also the global talent stream,
Right.
designed for high-skilled workers in specific in-demand occupations. It offers faster processing times and doesn't require an LMIA.
That sounds like a promising option for certain sectors.
It is. It's fascinating to see how this one policy change has such ripple effects throughout the entire system. It really underscores the interconnectedness of immigration policies and their impact on various stakeholders. It's easy to get lost in the policy details, but it's crucial to remember that we're talking about real people
Yeah,
whose lives and dreams are directly affected by these decisions.
absolutely.
Any significant change to immigration policies will inevitably create winners and losers.
Right?
Some individuals might find their pathway to Canada suddenly blocked, while others might discover new opportunities opening up. It's a stark reminder that immigration is a complex and ever-changing landscape,
It is.
demanding flexibility and resilience from those navigating it.
Couldn't agree more.
And as we wrap up, I'd like to leave our listeners with a question.
Okay.
If removing points for job offers is just one piece of the puzzle,
Yeah.
what other changes might we see in Canada's immigration system in the coming years?
Interesting.
What trends are emerging and how will they shape the future of immigration to this country?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, it is something to think about.
Before we go, is there a single takeaway you want our listener to remember from this express entry shakeup?
I think what stands out to me is that underlying tension this change reveals. On one hand, Canada needs skilled workers
Right,
to address labor shortages and bolster its economy.
right.
Express entry was designed to meet that need. But on the other hand, there's this growing concern about fairness, transparency, and ensuring the system isn't being exploited.
So it's a balancing act.
It is between attracting global talent and safeguarding the integrity of this system,
Exactly.
and removing job offer points suggests a shift in priorities,
Okay,
a move towards prioritizing a level playing field, even if it potentially slows down the intake of skilled workers.
it's like saying we want the best and the brightest.
Yes, but we also want to make sure that everyone has a fair shot at getting here.
That's a great way to put it.
And it will be interesting to see how this plays out in the long run.
Yeah,
Will it actually curb LMIA fraud?
right.
Will it impact Canada's ability to attract top talent? These are questions we'll need to follow closely in the coming years. It's a reminder that immigration policy isn't just about numbers and regulations.
Right?
It's about people, their aspirations, and Canada's future in the global talent landscape.
Absolutely.
And for anyone listening who's considering making Canada their home, you know, this is a reminder that the journey might be more unpredictable now.
Yeah.
The rules are changing, but the opportunities are still there.
Right?
For those willing to adapt and persevere,
Will said. Thanks for joining us for this much-awaited discussion on Canada's evolving immigration landscape.
it was a pleasure.
We'll continue to follow this story and bring you the latest developments. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those questions coming. Goodbye from the Toronto office of Amir. Ismail. We'll be with you soon on another important immigration topic.